Today we're going to be doing all operations with polynomials. So we'll be adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So we've already learned these three. This was the only one that we haven't learned, so just pay special close attention when we go over that. All right, when you're adding polynomials, do the parentheses matter? No, you basically can just drop those parentheses off and line up the polynomials that have the same term. So this 9x could go with what over here? This minus 3x. And so you could either pull this one over here, it doesn't matter. I'm going to move this one, so minus 3x. So I'm just stacking them on top of each other to combine them. This 7x squared would go with this one. So it's a positive, so plus 7x squared. And this 1 would go with this, so plus 1. Now, when you write these, you should write them in order of either least to greatest or greatest to least. It's just the correct way to write it. We're going to do greatest to least, which means the largest exponent goes first. So which one of these has the largest exponent? This one, right? The x squared would be written first, so I'm going to do this one first. What's 7 minus 2? So I would write 5x squared first. Which one would come next? The x. What's 9 minus 3? Positive 6, so I put a plus sign. Plus 6x, that's now gone. And what's 13 plus 1? Plus or minus? Plus. And that's it. Okay, this next one is subtracting polynomials, so what do I have to do? Say it again. I can't hear. Change, 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 which is basically like distributive property. You're basically distributing a negative 1. So change this to a plus sign, but change everything in here so this positive becomes negative and this negative becomes positive. And now you can line them up and combine them. So this becomes minus 1a squared. So that one's done. And this one becomes a plus 5. There's nothing to combine with this one, so I'll just bring it down. Is this one already in the correct order from greatest to least? Yeah. So what's 4 minus 1? So I have 3a squared. Just bring that down. Minus 6a plus 7. Okay, this next one wants us to subtract this polynomial from this polynomial. So if I was to write it from left to right, I would write this minus 4b squared minus b. So what would I have to do? Change, change, change. Does everybody understand why we did that? And now it's the same type of problem. So I just line them up and stack them, the ones that belong to each other. What goes in front of this b squared? A 1. And so I have minus 4b squared. And then plus, what goes in front of this b? A 1 plus 1b. So I did that one, I did this one. So now I can simply combine them. What's 1 minus 4? So I have negative 3b squared. What's 3 plus 1? Plus 4b. And this doesn't have anything to combine with it, so I just bring it down. All right, that's a review from, I don't know, Monday or Tuesday, right? Tuesday, I think. This is a review from yesterday. This is a binomial times a binomial. What do you do when you're multiplying binomials? FOIL. And we learned this on our warm-ups. First, outer, inner, last. You basically just take this term and multiply it by everything in there, and then take this term and multiply it by everything in there. All right, y'all ready? What's 2 times 4? First term times first term. 2 times 4 is? And what is z to the first power times z to the second power? What do you do when you're multiplying? Add the exponents. Z cubed. And I always put a line through my z's because they end up looking like 2's. So there's my first term. So first times first, that's where I got this. Does everybody know where the 3 came from? Yes. You have to add their exponents because it's z to the first times z to the second. And that's multiplication. It's the product of powers rule, right? All right. First, outer. What's 2 times negative 5? Minus 10. And what's z times z? Z squared. So that's first outer. Now I need to do inner. What's 3 times 4? And I keep the z squared. There's nothing to combine it with. And then last, 3 times negative 5. And keep the z. Is there anything that has a like term that I can combine? This one with this one. So what's negative 10 plus 12? Positive 2. So I have 8z cubed plus 2z squared minus 15z. That's what we learned yesterday. So if you're confused on that at all, you need to watch the video from yesterday. Okay, the next one wants us to find the perimeter and the area of this rectangle. How do you find perimeter? 2L plus 2W. You add up all the sides, right? Well, here's this side. So I'm doing 2 times 2x, which is what? So I'll just go ahead and write it like this so nobody gets confused, plus 2 times 3x plus 1. So that's 2 times the length and 2 times the width, or whatever. So I have 4w plus, I got to do distributive property. 2 times 3 is 6x, and 2 times 1 is 2. Oh, I meant to put an x right here. Y'all see that, right? You'll see it said what? 2x. I accidentally put w. All right, what's 4x plus 6x? So I have 10x plus 2. That's as far as I can simplify it. So the perimeter is 10x plus 2. How do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. So I have 2x times 3x plus 1. So this is a monomial times a binomial. So I just got to multiply this by everything on the inside. So basically distributive property. 2 times 3 is, and x times x is x squared, plus 2 times 1 is 2, and keep my x. And that's the area. So that was a review of everything we've learned so far this week. Now we're going to get into dividing polynomials. Now, basically, when you divide polynomials, what's on the bottom needs to be divided into everything on top. So just rewrite the problem. So I would rewrite this as 10x squared divided by 5 plus, now what would I write? 5 divided by 5. So I just took this, divide by 5, take that, divide by 5. So everything on top has to be divided by what's on bottom. Are we good? Now, the biggest issue with students and these problems is they never know where to put the numbers in the variables. They don't know if they go on top or on bottom. You've got to do some thinking. Is 10 divided by 5, what is it? Would 2 go on the top of a fraction or on the bottom? 10 divided by 5 is 2. And if I made 2 into a fraction, it would be 2 over. So where would 2 go? On a top. Okay, so I have 2. And then I have x squared, but I don't have anything to combine it with down here. So would x squared stay on the top, or would it go to a bottom?
The top.
There's nothing to do with it here. So it just stays on top. All right, what is 5 divided by 5? So I have 2x squared plus 1. All right, are y'all good? How would I rewrite this one? 21x squared divided by 7x plus 7x divided by 7x. Now I have to use, y'all need to really pay attention. I need to use my law of exponents. Okay, so if you don't remember it, you get your star chart out or that green paper I gave you. Here's my green one. And it is a power of a, no, it's not a power of a quotient. It's a quotient of powers. What does it say to do with the exponents? Subtract them. So here's the question. What's 21 divided by 7?
3.
So is 3 a whole number?
Yes.
So would 3 go on the top or the bottom?
Top.
The top. Now I have x to the second power divided by x to the first power. So I do x to the 2 minus 1. If it's positive, it goes on. If it's negative, I put it on the, and then don't write the negative sign. Y'all remember this, right? 2 minus 1 is positive 1. So where would this x to the first power end up? On the top. So is there anything to put on the bottom? So I just leave it like that. All right, what is 7x divided by 7x? How does that work? Well, look, 7 divided by 7 is 1, and this is 1 minus 1. What's x to the 0? Just 1, right? And 1 times 1 is 1. Y'all want to try this one on your own? You should. Go. Okay, what is 8 divided by 2? Where would 4 go? On the top. What's 3 minus 1? Positive or negative? So would it go on top or bottom? So x squared. What's 2x divided by 2x? Plus 1. All right. What's 4 divided by 2? It's minus, yeah, you got to keep your minus sign correct. 4 divided by 2 is 2, but where is that x going to have to stay? It has to stay on the bottom, but where's 2 going to go? On the top, so it would look like that. You cannot pull the x to the top. Do y'all understand why? Because it's on the bottom. All right, the last one. Find the perimeter of the pentagon below. The left side is 3x squared, so write that down, and the right side is 2y squared. How do you find perimeter of anything? Add all the, so we just add them all up, right? Here we go. I'm going to just start here. I have 7y minus 3x squared, and I'm just going to go clockwise, plus 2y squared, plus, so I did that one, 6x squared, plus 3x minus 5y squared, plus 3x squared. That was easy. Now what do I need to do? Combine like terms. So what's a like? I've got this minus 3x squared is combined with this one. Oh, here's a 6. I was about to say there's something else. Okay. Now I need, and then I'm going to combine these y squares. And then the rest will just get thrown on at the end, right? So negative 3 plus 3 is canceled out, so I'm left with 6x squared. What should come next? That's fine. So what's minus 5 plus 2, or 2 minus 5? Negative 3y squared. Then I'm just left with those, plus 3x plus 7y. Okay, I'm going to pass out your assignment, and we're going to go do one of the harder ones together. So if you just... Okay, so we're looking at this one. You should have set it up like this. Did everybody at least set it up correctly? Yes? Okay, so you're going to look at each piece individually. If I'm looking at this one, is there anything to simplify for 11? 11 divided by 1 is? So does 11 stay on top, or I'm just going to miraculously move it? Stays on top. This is the quotient property, so I have to do what with their exponents? What is 5 minus 2? Since it's a positive exponent, where would it end up? So my answer for that one would be 11x cubed. The fraction's gone. Do y'all understand why? There's just nothing to put on the bottom anymore. Are we good? Okay, now let's look at the next piece. 7 divided by 1 is 7. So 7 stays on top. 3 minus 2 is positive 1. So is anything going to go on the bottom? So I don't need a fraction for that one. It just becomes 7x. Okay, I'm going to keep my minus sign. 2 divided by 1 is? So it stays on? Okay, now we got to look. I have x to the first power minus 2. So I have x to the 1 minus 2.
Negative 1.
X to the 1 minus 2 is x to the negative 1.
So you have to move to the bottom.
But I can't have negative exponents. So that has to go to the bottom. So the 2 stays on top. But x to the first power, or just x, goes to the bottom. That's where students get confused. They want to move the 2 to the bottom with it. No, the 2's on top because it's a whole number. Are we all good with that? Okay? All right, so this is pretty easy. If I was you, I'd start with the EOC. That way you can get it checked with me. And it's everything we've learned for the week. And do not forget, like on number 7, to change, change, change.